And then our special guest this morning has also chosen, presumably, to holiday in this country, because normally he's in Australia. It's home and away star Stephen Peacocke. I was expecting screams because Eric was monitoring our sort of online chatter and he was saying we've never had a response like it to your name being listed on this show.
It's nice to know. Yeah, well, thanks for having me over.
Well, what brings you here?
Well, I've never been to the UK before, and obviously home and away's, you know, it's got a pretty big crowd of people that watch it over here. So yeah, I've come over for a bit of a
How long have you been here for?
Since yesterday morning. I'm a bit
Oh, God, OK, right. And are you staying around? Because I know you're nominated for Best Daytime Actor, I think, at the Inside Soap Awards. Are you staying around for that?
Oh, well, no, I don't think so. I don't know when that is, but it was really nice to find that out. It's a real honour. But I don't know if I really deserve it. I think I'll play a popular, you know, the storyline of the River Boys on our show has been popular, so it's been good for me and good for the show.
We should talk a bit about that. I should tell you, Stephen, of course, he moved into Summer Bay last year to play surfer bad boy Daryl Braxton. Since then, Brax has been falsely accused of drug dealing, armed robbery, his copper girlfriend Charlie murdered. Yeah. He got over that by training to become a cage fighter, as anyone would.
Yeah, of course.
As anyone would. And what's your current storyline? Because it's got your dad as coming.
Yeah, we had this really Andy McPhee, who plays our dad, has just come back into he's got out of jail and come back to the Bay, and Brax knows that he's you know, he's no good, but it's just trying to prove that to his brothers and to everyone else. That's the real task, and it's awesome, man. Andy's a really good actor, and he's brought all this. His storyline now is kind of the catalyst for the rest of the year, so it gets pretty dangerous for Brax.
I know Brax is very keen not to have him around and actually offered his dad 50 large to clear out of Summer Bay, his new home since leaving prison. The only trouble is, as viewers are going to see tomorrow, is that Brax doesn't have that sort of money.
No,
How's me 50 grand going?
Nah, that deal was only on the table if you agreed to leave us alone.
Oh, see, that's where I have a problem, because you owe me.
No, I owe you nothing.
Is that right?
Yeah, Dad. And just so we are clear, you will stop playing your stupid little games. If you want to get to me, come after me.
Is it the same shirt?
Yeah, we've had some budget cuts, so I'm dressing myself.
So, can you tell us? Oh, you probably can't. Can you tell us, does Brax get rid of his dad or not?
Well, I can't tell you. I can tell you he tries as hard as he can, and Brax they almost get rid of Brax. It gets pretty dangerous. The old man turns on him, and I think this week what's going to air in the UK, you see Brax get a bit touched up by some people.
Touched up?
Yeah.
That's a totally different meaning over here, obviously. Right, Craig?
Yes, darling. I know all about that.
All right, well, that doesn't happen. He was unconscious, though, so maybe it did happen. I don't know.
So these things, they don't always translate, do they?
Yeah, right.
Across the seas. Now, what about some questions from the panel?
Well, I was wondering, I mean, I used to love Australia. I used to go to Australia ever since. I'd never heard of this surfer gangster dude type person before. Because that's what your character is. He's a surfer gangster.
And there's
is
real
that
life
a real
problems
thing?
out there, isn't there?
Is that a real
well, in Sydney, there's a group called the Bra Boys, and yeah...
The Bra Boys? That doesn't sound very macho again, really.
I know, they're from Maroubra, so the Bra Boys. But, yeah, I wouldn't want to go up and have a dig at their name. They're pretty... there's a bit of notoriety sort of surrounding them, but one of them's Kobe Abberton, who's sort of the leader of the pack. He's a big wave surfer and he's the world champion, so he's kind of... They grew up with not much and they've sort of become something, so that's who... Yeah, here he is up here.
OK.
That's who my character's based on, and, you know, wherever you get...
Does he know your character is based on?
Oh, yeah, he would, but it's been, you know, I think it's been good for them because the show, the storyline's been well received.
OK,
so, yeah, I hope you're enjoying it.
Why do they call you Stumpy, darling? I hope it's nothing to do with your genitals.
Why do they call you Stumpy? They call you Stumpy.
They did. But, no, there was a dance move that because I'm hopeless at dancing, probably...
So we've
unlike you.
One
I used to straighten the legs out and just walk around and just do this funny thing when we're, you know, after a game of footy or something.
I'm so tempted to say get out there and do it. What about surfing? Do you surf?
Next question. No,
you don't surf?
They didn't ask me in the audition if I could surf, so I didn't have to...
So how do you manage? How do you manage to...
Well, home
Do
and
you,
away.
have do you have a stunt double?
It's like Gidget, darling. Trickery.
I just thought everybody in Australia. So.
Well, the thing is, I grew up in, if you know Australia, New South Wales, I grew up smack bang in the middle of New South Wales, so in the country, and we'd have our 2-week, holidays at the beach every year, but not enough to learn to surf. My brother married a surfer girl from Sydney, and he's learnt, but I'm still in the process of learning. So yeah, they've got to get well, we don't really surf much on the show because there's not enough time to shoot it. It's sort of we do so much that
it's just implied, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm always walking out with a surfboard.
And a more sort of arts and reality being different. Of course, is you're covered in tattoos in the show.
Yeah, so about an hour goes into that every day. They've got tattoos on my arms and chest and back.
So they're fake tattoos.
Yeah, they just put these stencils on and spray them on pretty much. But it ended when we first started. It was kind of a new process for the makeup artists on the show, so it took about 2 hours. But now they can do it in about 35 minutes if they're under the pump.
Okay.
So yeah, it's funny having all these.
Does that have to be done every day?
Well, whenever I've got my shirt off, which
it's almost every episode.
That's what my brother said. He said if you looked inside your character's wardrobe, it'd just be a whole heap of empty coat hangers. But yeah, no. Yeah, they have to put them on most days.
The funny thing is, the two boys, could have actually, at one point, it's possible at least, in theory, to have shared screen time, because you were going to be in Home and Away,
I would have been his father by now. I know. I got a job before I did the Lido in Paris, dancing, and I was meant to go back and film an 8-week love interest walk-on role, but I did Cats instead.
So how long ago?
It was in 1989.
You were just a boy.
I know. I can't imagine myself walking around, though, with the surfboard, to be honest, but still.
Can you surf?
No.
No. Right.
We've got something in common.
Great to have you with us, Stephen. I hope you enjoy the experience.
Yeah,
likewise, you folks at home. You're most kind and welcome back to Monday's show, our 1st of September, live on Channel 5 with Craig Revel-Horwood, Anne Diamond, and Home and Away, Stephen Peacocke. Stephen's going to bring you the rest of the headlines shortly. First, though, we're asking if the Green Belt is sacred, or do you support Tory plans to let developers essentially build all over it? 0207 173 5555 is the number if you care to let us know what you're thinking. As I said, George Osborne wants to speed up the planning process and help councils approve developments on our Greenbelt land, of which there are 14 in England. There's 1 in Wales, 7 in Scotland. And they were introduced immediately after the Second World War to prevent urban sprawl in areas like London, Manchester, Cardiff and Edinburgh. Now, all previous attempts to greenlight building on Greenbelt sites have been fought off, including a previous attempt by Osborne, but now he has a cunning plan. He wants those councils who approve Greenbelt developments to safeguard and protect an equivalent area of land elsewhere. These land swap deals would effectively ensure the net loss of green space would be nil. Does that convince you? It certainly hasn't swayed the Campaign to Protect Rural England, who claim there's no need to develop Greenbelt sites at all because we have so much brownfield land going begging. Building on the Greenbelt is often justified by claiming there's a shortage of other land available for development, a spokesman explained, but government figures show the amount of brownfield land available for redevelopment far outstrips the rate at which it's being used. There's enough for 1.5 million new homes. The group claims 8 out of 10 of us oppose building on the 6,000 square miles of Greenbelt we have at present. Why? Well, the 200,000 or so Greenbelt developments currently believed to be on standby would lead to overcrowded schools, overcrowded doctors' surgeries and hospitals and so on. But then what about the 3 million folk desperate to buy their first homes? Maybe we need a change of attitude towards this protected land. I'm sure the travellers at the Down Farm Gypsy Camp in Essex will be thrilled by George Osborne's proposals. Last year's standoff centred on a patch of Greenbelt land they'd bought and then turned into a camp without planning permission. If the Chancellor gets his way, they may very well be able to develop it after all. But it's going to be interesting, your view here, Stephen, because you arrived in this country. We were just talking during the break about how much you're enjoying looking around and discovering Britain's history. And, of course, we were once a green and pleasant land. I know you've only really been in town at the moment. Would you have a problem? Would you have a problem if our cities were allowed to get bigger?
Oh, look, it's weird coming from a place like Australia where there's infinite land.
Space, yeah.
But, yeah, it's you know, if there are... I mean, I'm really not sure of the setup over here, but if there are these other pockets of brown land or whatever that isn't as picturesque or isn't as important for, you know, sustaining your national parks and whatnot, then it sounds logical to build there. But then, you know...
But I'm guessing, you see, that all land has a price. Now, if you have a brownfield site in the centre of London of, say, 2 acres, the cost of that land in the centre of London will be millions and millions and millions. If you have a bit of a field somewhere on the edge of Buckinghamshire, on the edge of the green belt, that land's going to be a tenth of the price or less.
But there's a real danger in that equation, isn't there? I mean, look
what more open spaces in the centre of towns and less green space for people that live in the country.
But, I mean, look what they've done with Stratford, what they've done with the Olympic area, where the will is there, they can develop...
It did cost £10 billion, Anne. I mean, we're going to be paying for it for the next generation.
Absolutely, but, I mean, look at the incredible benefit it is. It is an incredible place. It's got green in it. I mean, it's a brilliant, beautiful place, and it's an asset to
brownfield area
London.
that has been developed.
Yes. Yeah, I just think, of course, the cost can be infinitely argued, I'm sure, but nevertheless, the will ought to be there to develop the brown sites first. They're already needing... I mean,
but you can accept that on economics, if you're looking for starter homes, to get people, you know, a first foot on the property ladder. There's an article in, I think, in The Guardian today, where it's a chap who's bought his first home at 40 and how he never expected it would take so long. And there's many, many people out there that haven't got homes at all.
But there are other
and the brownfield will only deal with half of those people.
Yes,
you still have half, 1.5 million people.
But it's no good offering somebody a new house in what used to be a field in Oxfordshire if there isn't the job and the infrastructure to go with it as well. And that all needs to come from somewhere. Many of these brownfield developments, or so-called development sites, are actually already sort of impinged in an area where there are schools, where there are shops, where there is infrastructure, where there could be jobs, if there's a will.
OK, OK. Oh, there we go. Welcome back to Monday Show with Craig Revel-Horwood, Anne Diamond and Home and Away Stephen Peacocke. Stephen's going to bring you the rest of the headlines next, including a roll call for all those Paralympians who won gold at the weekend, and the best-selling author shamed after he was caught writing glowing reviews of his own books online. I think Jeremy Carr's been doing the same for his TV show for years. First, though, is the green belt sacrosanct? Or is it time that we all faced facts and accept that everything is up for discussion when the economy is in the doldrums and we have a pressing need for new housing? A chance to discuss NIMBYism once again. 0207 173 5555 is the number you need. And NIMBYism, by the way, is not in my backyard. It might not translate to Australia.
No, it makes a lot of sense.
Very rude in Australia.
For the second time since coming to the power, the Tories have turned their attention on our 6,000 square miles of green belt that prevent our biggest cities from sprawling out of control. George Osborne wants to speed up the planning process and allow councils to greenlight developments on green belt land, but only if those local authorities identify and protect an equivalent area of green space elsewhere. So a land swap seems to make sense to me, not to Craig and Anne. Well, before the break, Craig said we need to preserve our environment. Once it's gone, it's gone. Anne reckons if we start building on Greenbelt, there won't be the infrastructure to support the people that move in there. There won't be enough school places, enough hospitals and so on. And Stephen said we should be looking at building on brown land first, brownfield sites first. The trouble is that even if we were to build on all of them, that only deals with half the number of people looking to get a foot on the property ladder.